Hey guys, welcome back. I know it's gonna be a little bit noisy because we're in the parking lot. We got a G70 2020, 60,000 kilometers there. Customer complained for a no start, no click, nothing. There's power there, right? I'm just scanning the codes right now. Let's just cover our bases that there's nothing going on our engine control module. Okay, so no codes there. Okay, let's just go back here. Okay, so let's not worry about the scan tool. Now I have my scope running right now. We're gonna do a check on our battery and our starter draw, and let's see if we can find something, because I have a suspicious already on this one that this is gonna be a starter problem. Okay, so now we're just, let me just stop this and let's try to capture. So I'm gonna try to start it. Okay, let's do another one. So it didn't move. Okay, so I just adjusted our arm clamp, right? I know I'm doing screen recording right now, so you guys will be able to see what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna try to start this again, so I can see some changes there in our voltage and our current. And then we're just gonna zoom in. Okay, so I'm just gonna stop this. Let's go back to our waveform here. Right now we're reading on our red trace is our battery voltage. That's reading around 11.9. I know that's low for a battery, but it could be that they keep trying to start this, right? Let's just zoom in here, this part here. Oops. As you follow my mouse, this part here, this is where when I try to start it, as you can see there's some activity there. So what we can do next is, oops, let's do, voltage went down trying to start, but nothing happens. In here, that's where I believe that our solenoid is trying to kick in. So not much of a capture here, but if we will measure our current, that's 24 millivolts. I believe this one is in every 10 millivolts, this and 1 amp. So, or I think 1 millivolt is 1 amp. So let me just double check that. Okay, so I just double check our amp clamp. So it's saying there are 1 millivolts per 1 amp. So we measured here this part here. We tried to start it. I think this circuit, because this is the solenoid circuit now trying to kick in, we got at least 23 there, so that's 23 amps. So at least we don't have an open circuit in there. What we're gonna do next is, let's go to the engine area, let's locate the starter relay, and let's do some other basic checks, and then let's condemn the starter. Okay, so I just took a picture on our starter circuit. Here's our starter, as you can see there. I'm gonna zoom in. So one wire that's straight from our junction box, that's power. We got a relay here, so if the relay kicks in, that full power gonna go straight in here. So that's the 30 amp start switch. Is gonna click the solenoid, and then once that powered up, we got the another coil here to switch that on, that whole switch for the power here from the battery. So let's locate the starter relay. Let's check with ignition on, power here, number 1, number 3, and this one is ground control. And then we'll see on number 2 if we got power once we activate this, and at least we can eliminate the starter relay. Okay, so I'm on the right side, or if you're facing towards here on the left side, there's our fuse box. Our relay will be, so that's how it is, starter relay, start relay, this guy here. So let's check that. Let's remove this. Okay. So you don't see anything there. Let me just put this guy down here. Okay, so I have my test light here, connect to ground, and let's just check. As you can see on my test light, light up, so we should have power one side. Okay, I need an ignition on, so we have all the way power here. That's from another relay. So I just did an ignition on the other side, because this part here, this has power, and you can see and you can tell too on our relay, it has a bigger or wider pin compared to this two. So this one has power, and the other side should have power, unless it needs to be during crank, right? I think during crank. So all we can do is, what I can do is, this one is the power, let's just double check that 30 amps start. Where's that guy? 30 amp start here. Okay, looks like fuse is okay there. I think that's about it. So if I'm gonna put this to positive, we should have ground on one side. How come there's no ground here? That's my ground. Let me check the wiring diagram again. Okay, so we got power here, and the other side we got ground, so meaning that's our switching side of our relay, right? The thicker part here, because we got ground there. So that means that from this part here on number 2 on the relay, going all the way to that solenoid part, meaning that's good, right? That's my test light brights. So technically, if I'm gonna jump this two this two here, we should have a click or something like that. Let's see. Yeah, what's going on? Okay, so I have my jumper wire here. I'm just gonna connect one side, and we should hear something if it's trying to start. No, it's not trying to start. Let me grab a hammer and see if we can at least, let me see here if we can access that, because I know with this 3.3 V6 there's no access point on this starter. Okay, so I didn't see anything here. Maybe I'm gonna look for a longer 3/8 extension. Okay, so I have my very long flat screwdriver. There's a 3/8. I don't think that will fit in there. I'm gonna try to hammer this. Maybe it will help move that brush. And then let's try jumping this again. Okay. You heard that? Okay, let me move you guys here. Now it's trying to start. Okay. So what we did there, we just moved the whole starter just to see to move that brushes, because I think it went to the dead spot. That's why it didn't crank. So now what we can do is I'm gonna remove all this stuff, right? If we're gonna put our relay and it doesn't still crank, because right now it should crank. Okay, let's put you guys back here. Oh, you know what? Let's go inside the car. Okay, so my scope is running. Let's run this. Let me minimize this. Exit. Okay, now let's gonna try to start this. There you go. So the okay, so we're gonna try to start this. Oh, hey, I heard clicking right now. There you go. As you can see on my capture, I did run the scope again. Let me just stop this. Let's go back. So this part, as you follow my mouse, trying to click, and then the second waveform trying to start, right? Okay, let's try this again. I think I should be able to start this now. Yeah, so that's good. It started now, but on our capture, at least I can move this one away from the road. So let me just stop this and let's try that capture again. Let me stop this car. As you can see in this capture, I'm gonna zoom in. We clearly have a faulty starter. As you can see that, like it's looking for that ground. Once we put a new starter in this, so let's compare this, a new starter and this worn out starter, so that you guys can see with this kind of testing. Like let's say a car came in for a no start and it came here for and every time it started. And when you do this kind of testing, the battery and the amp clamp, you'll see if that starter is starting to fail, right? In this case, we got a no crank, no start. We did see our solenoid trying to, you know, activate. We see that on 23 amps in there. And then we went to our relay and we saw that there's power on one side, and I think the other two side of that relay, the coil side, I think that's when you try to crank. I think that's what happened there. That's why we didn't have power or ground in there when we tried to test our test light. But when we try to jump the two pins for the switch side of the relay, by the time I hit the starter, it's starting. So if you have a 3.3 engine, it's hiding in there. I guess the best way is to use a flat screwdriver, a long one, so you can reach on that, just to, you know, disturb that brushes so that you can have a good contact again. So yeah, this guy needs a starter. So here in our schematic wiring diagram, so I'm just gonna go through to you guys what we did on our test light. So we removed this relay. We found that one of those pins, because we don't know which pins are, we got power here. So meaning that's our power, only one, because that's straight from the junction box in here. And then I'm trying to poke one of the other three pins, and I was thinking that we should have one power at least and one ground control, but in this case it's all control. As you can see here on the bottom, says here starter relay control and start motor control relay. So I think in this side of the relay, that's when you try to crank. So you will not get anything there if you just ignition on. So anyway, I reversed my test light on number 2. So that's right across of that power side of that relay, number 1. Number 2, I changed my polarity of the test light. I put the other end to the positive, because if you follow the circuit going down to the starter, and it goes straight to the ground. So if you put the other end of the test light to the positive and the pointy test light on this part here, and it lights up, meaning you have good connection going to the starter solenoid. So once we determine that that's the switching side of the relay, we try to jump it, right, by jumper wire. And you know, I just saw on the terminals it's sparking, so that's why I grab a flat screwdriver and try to hammer it. And then yeah, it tried to start, because I think it moved the brushes there. So yeah, this guy needs a starter. Let's see if I'm gonna do a full video on replacing this one, because this is gonna be a lot of it's a lot of process just to do a starter in this 3.3. So I'll update you guys and let's see. Alright guys, so we're back with this G70 with a starter. As you can see, my subframe is down. I just have my engine support there in order to remove the subframe. We're here now. Why we're removing the subframe? If you're new to this channel, I already did some videos on what's the process on this Genesis removal of the starter. Yeah, I have to remove the subframe because the mount is sitting in here. This one is underneath the mount, so you get really no choice. And what else I can say? Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, right? As long as you have the right tools and everything. So right now I already removed the mounting bolts on this one. You just have to remove this cable here for power cable. So that's out. Okay. Yeah. There you go. Here's our starter. There we go. Here's our starter. So I don't know why they design it like this, and you really have no choice but to do it this way, because there's your harness here or starter here, and you can't really move it unless you're gonna move this harness here. So yeah, for those of the guys who was out of warranty, good luck, because that's gonna be more money there. And well, I'm gonna install the new starter, and then let's capture the waveform, and let's compare the faulty starter and the new starter. Alright guys, so on this G70 we're back. I put everything back together, so we're gonna do a first startup on this vehicle. I hook up our scope already. Red will be the battery voltage, same thing on our first capture, and the blue is the current. So let me just play this again. Okay, so let's go start this up. I'm gonna do one more time. And last. Okay, so far vehicle starts. Let me just open the old capture that we had when we were trying to diagnose this vehicle, and let's compare the waveforms. Okay, so I load up my capture. On your right screen, that's our old capture, and on our left side, that's our new capture right now. And I just put the cursor. If you follow my mouse on your left, on this amp clamp, it's measuring 1 millivolt per 1 amp. So we're measuring here 77 millivolts, so that's around 600 amp, the inrush current. And if you compare on our faulty starter, that's around 489 millivolts. And for our battery voltage during cranking, our red trace, it's cranking at 8.7, and the old one, it's cranking at 10 volts. So what they always say is around, minimum at least 10 volts during cranking, because if not, it's gonna start having a starting issue. So in this case, that 8.7, that's bare minimum, and sooner or later this guy needs a battery. And what else can we see? We can see on our left side here on our new new starter, there's some spikes there, but that's kind of noisy. Maybe that's from my amp clamp itself. But if you compare the traces, if you just follow my mouse on our right, you see that when it went up, it goes down right away. So there's a poor contact on that solenoid or on the starter itself. If you compare here, this nice and smooth when it click and go spike up right away, compared to our old one, it drop, and then and it will also see, you can see on our battery capture, our new one here, there was just slight down and up again. And if you're seeing on our old capture, you see that too much dropping, right? So anyway, that's about it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that diagnosis and a quick overview on replacement on this G70's starters. It's almost always the same on those 3.3 engines. So if you have Kia Stinger, 3.3, G80s, G70s. Alright, so let me know if you have any suggestions, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you next time. Thank you for watching.